Come one, come all to a beautiful show. It's gonna be awesome and some other stuff. Some other musical stuff.
You Ghostnuts, motherfucker.
Back from a hiatus of a bit of a forgery.
Yeah, as AC/DC said, I'm back in black.
Yeah.
I want to suck the sack.
Yeah, you better know I'm gonna come on your face.
Yeah.
Okay, we're here to tackle the next episode. Since we had a guest, not a guest, a special friend, person, guest, not non-guest.
Alien.
Wow. Okay, I'm having an aneurysm now. A supplier of support sent us an informational message
We're getting there, yeah?
saying, I would like you to continue on this Nazi propaganda that we're spreading, which isn't really propaganda, it's actual fact.
Just this topic of discussion.
Yeah, and get into Operation Paperclip. And I said to him, you know what? We will. We'll talk about Operation Paperclip because
We kind of dropped it here and there in the previous episodes.
we're on a little run-tutter of, this Microsoft being tied to Nazis and Bill Gates and all that shit.
So why not? Chuck it in. Operation Paperclip.
And it's funny that, like, when I was thinking about it, Operation Paperclip, and then I thought about Microsoft, Nazis, Paperclip, that fucking paperclip on Microsoft Word,
Oh, yeah.
Clippy, the fucking paperclip, all links back to this whole, it could be a coincidence, I think not.
And for those of you who don't know, or maybe too young for Clippy, basically back in the day, back in the Microsoft XP days, there was a little animated character on your Word document that would offer tips and suggestions.
Yeah.
That's Clippy. And he's now being tried for pedophilia for trying to groom children.
Yeah, because it was mostly school kids, primary school kids, trying to do their assignments. But the biggest assignment here was what's going on in the dumbs via paperclips.
Yes.
And by paperclips, we're talking about Operation Paperclip, Nazi, Germany, eat your heart out. I'll let you take the wheel.
So yeah, to know what Operation Paperclip is, we've got to do a bit of history, right? And talk about World War II. And a lot of people nowadays don't know what World War II really is and what happened, right? So it started in 1939, Allied forces stopped Germany, Nazi Germany, in its tracks, right? Because they're trying to dominate Europe and the world, really. And so by 1945, Western Europe had been ravaged, been rampaged, and an entire race of people almost got eradicated. That's with Nazis trying to cull the Jews. So, 1933, Adolf Hitler became Chancellor of Germany, and he spread this ideology of supremacy and nationalism, and he basically was against all who opposed them.
And that's Chancellor,
Yes.
not a chanter
No.
for the Lutheran Gregorian.
But I heard it was a bit of an artiste, a bit of a bohemian, this Adolf Hitler. So after the events of World War One, there was basically a treaty that was signed, and he kind of limited Germany's movements because they were to blame. The blame was put on them for the events of World War One, and so Germany started breaking the bounds of that treaty, right? And that's when these Allied countries started to intervene, right? Because the Nazis invaded Poland in 1939, and France and Britain declared war on Germany. So Hitler was fucking hitting the ground running in that sense. So after that 6 years of turmoil, Hitler's key aims as Führer of Germany was the destruction of the Jewish race. And even
Eugenics, as we mentioned last week, it's sort of like, all goes back to racial hygiene.
yes, cleansing the
Population.
yes.
One of those ones.
So the Nazis basically implemented a bunch of laws which discriminated against the Jews, and it gradually snowballed into what we know of the shit in Poland and the concentration camps. So shit turned south for Hitler. Stepped in some dog shit, and
They just necked himself.
D-Day happened. France was liberated. They were losing the front on the Soviet Union, so it was like kind of closing in on him. What's he do? Fuck. I killed myself. That was a terrible German. But yeah, Hitler allegedly committed suicide. And the Nazi regime collapsed, Japan surrendered, Allied forces declared victory. So after that,
Yeah.
right,
So that was the juicy orb of the post.
the precursor.
Yeah. But then if you think about it, there's people. Hitler wasn't the only fucking one-man band. But it wasn't the only one-man German torso.
Yes, he might have been the head
Yeah.
of the proprietary formulation of Head and Shoulder shampoo.
Yeah,
but who were the
buzziness.
shoulders?
Well, that's the thing. And then knees and toes. So we have a whole Third Reich, and then the people below them that were like operating the whole Nazi fascist party. So Hitler necked himself fucked off from the earth.
Yeah.
And
Although there's speculation about that, but yeah.
or he could be a UFO floating around Jupiter or
Body
something.
double, dental records don't match, whatever the fuck, yeah.
Hawaii
Argentina.
with Elvis and Tupac.
Yeah.
But who knows? Okay. What happened to all these other blokes, like you said, like the people doing the heavy lifting? Hitler was just a dictator saying, you do this, you do that, suck me off, jack me off, kiss my ass. And
Buy my painting.
Yeah, and what about all the other people? So there was thousands of people that were involved in the torture, the operation of the concentration camps, and doing all the other manufacturing and developing of weapons, rockets, artillery. What happened to those blokes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they had a pretty advanced research section of their army, right?
Yeah.
And that basically gave them an advantage in some aspects.
Well, the thing is, I was doing some research and saying, why did Germany have why were these Nazi scientists so advanced?
I think
Because at the time, Germany and around Europe and England had that whole industrial revolution, not the fourth industrial revolution, which is also from another fucking German.
give it to me, baby.
Yeah, Klaus Schwab, nice and slow.
Yep.
And what's it called? So they were in advancing all this shit because everyone else in like Australia and USA were just fucking farmers and.
And it looked like they had no bounds, right?
Yeah.
Like they didn't put limitations, ethical limitations on themselves. So like, for example, there was someone who was like some fucking scientist in some fumigation pest control section. Oh, how about you come for us and the pests this time are humans and create some gas that kills some humans.
Well, that's the thing. Like, once this World War ended, there was still all these people, like, they were getting ostracized, like all these Nazis. They were getting ostracized from their hometowns and their land, like wherever they were living. They're saying, you guys are Nazis, we don't want you here, blah, blah, blah. We're liberated, we're against you guys. So where would they go now?
And they were, even though they were evil, some were brilliant minds.
Very wise, apparently. And then before this whole Operation Paperclip started, you had a lot of people migrating to Argentina.
Don't cry for me, Argentina.
That's it, because they they had an ally with Germany and Italy and Spain, who were all worked together because Spain, all of Argentina speaks Spanish. Italy, the head of Argentina at the time, that Domingo Perón, was a big admirer of Benito Mussolini.
Some communism sympathizers.
Yeah. And then Germany, I don't know, Germany, Mussolini, Hitler mates or whatever. Like, oh yeah, we admire the way they think, because I did some research, and once Germany started killing Jews in Germany at the time, Argentina did it to its own people. Like the Argentinians found the Jewish areas in Argentina and started killing them as well.
The Argentinian Jews?
Yeah. So then, what's it called? They're like, yeah, come to Argentina. We'll take care of you. Open arms, big embrace. And that's it. And then they were safe. They found their home. During this time, though, post World War II, the Soviets were very strong in also rockets,
Yeah,
all that shit.
I think they didn't want to let their guard down as well. After the war had ended, they were still
Yeah.
trying to build up military might, right?
Yeah. So the Americans thought, we need to get on top of this. We can't let them beat us. What do? The Germans were very strong in this. The Nazi Germans were very strong and smart in this. Let's bring them to our country. They ostracized everywhere else in the world except for Argentina. Let's find a way we can bring them in. Even though we were enemies, we'll
Bring them in,
Yeah.
and steal their intelligence.
So apparently, while debunking the rubble and all that shit that was like demolished in Germany, some of the Americans spotted what looked like flying discs, particle and laser beam weaponry, and heavy intelligence that was Nazi engineering that, looked like it was next level.
Sounds to me like Hitler was just trying to throw a fucking spastic rave.
All that.
Disco, laser beams, fucking
Certified. Certified, yeah. And, so then what happens? We're going to be like, oh, we'll bring them in. But we can't bring them in because they're war criminals. Let's wishy-washy the documents and what's it called? And bring them in on a working citizenship residency to work for us. But they're not going to go haywire because we're going to maintain them and look after them. And if they step out of line, we'll fucking kill them.
So Operation Paperclip basically refers to the recruitment of Nazi scientists into America, right? And I think they say the name Paperclip comes from basically once the war was over and Soviets basically took some scientists as well. They had like a file of all these scientists that were left over.
Yeah.
The ones the Americans wanted were basically marked as a paperclip.
Yeah.
So bring those clipped cunts in, get them working.
That's it. And there was some very prominent names. We'll just go through a couple. First of all, as we've discussed multiple times, Werner von Braun. Doctor. He was obviously headed NASA, director of NASA, and was in charge of developing the V2 rocket, which was very similar to rockets they were building in these underground railing tunnels in Germany, where they would carry these rockets or missiles out, and they were building them underground with slaves. They were using in concentration camps.
Slave labor, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, oh yeah, we've got the concentration camps, we've got the people to build them for us. We're just going to tell you what to do. You build us a rocket.
No sleep, no food, get the fucking rocket done, cunt.
That's it,
and
done.
Werner von Braun, a very cocky cunt, a very cocky person, I'm going to try to cut down on the swearing, basically came from a rich aristocratic background, basically felt like he was untouchable because the Germans had, as he said, the V2 rocket, and the Americans wanted to know the secret. So to them, he's a treasure.
Yeah.
And was he wrong? He was fucking right.
Of course he was right.
He was basically made like a hero.
Yeah, all of these people were right. Even Ludwig Rotholomus, which was his actual full name, but he cut it to Ludwig Roth.
Yeah.
He was the head of some fucking, I'm not even trying to pronounce it.
Go, give it a go. Give it a red hot go.
Peenemünde. No, it's got the 2 dots on the U. Peenemünde Future Projects designed the Wasserfall, which was advanced rocket designs. Then he comes in via Argentina under Operation Paperclip, works for NASA. Next minute, his son works for NASA. Next minute, his grandson works for fucking NASA, I think as well, or an offshoot of NASA.
Get the whole family in there. It's a family business now. We're sending fucking missiles to Mars.
Yeah, so what's it called? So he was another prominent name. I think Arthur Randolph is important. Was he the one that actually got indicted for being a war criminal?
Yes.
He was involved in the Apollo 11 moon landing. However, he was given an option to, because they caught him for being a war criminal, to either strip his medals that he got for the successful mission that
For designing the rocket, right?
allegedly Stanley Kubrick shot.
Yeah.
And then made a 2001: Space Odyssey. But we'll get into that another time. So he had to go back to Germany because he was indicted for being a war criminal because they found out about his past of being a heavy hitter in the Nazi party.
Yes, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer had a very shiny rocket. Another couple key interesting figures. Herman Becker Freising.
That's not Becca Ted Danson TV show.
No, that is not.
All right.
This one was basically convicted and sentenced to 20 years imprisonment afterwards.
He didn't have the same sex appeal as Ted Danson.
No, he didn't. And Ted Danson still has that sex appeal.
With
that
that
silver fox.
silver hairstyle. Yeah.
He was indulged in conducting experiments on actual inmates. One of the experiments, force feeding them fucking seawater that was treated to see if it was safe. So you can thank him for desalination plants. And you can also thank the people that died drinking that water. Even before his trial, he was paid by US Air Force to report on sadistic experiments. So the US wanted to know what was going on. Then you got Kurt Blome, and he's going to blow your ass up. He was experimenting on concentration camp inmates with some plague bacteria.
Is that bubonic plague thing that I think I read about? Some bubonic plague?
Yes, he had the fucking Black Forest plague.
Yep.
He was convicted of war crimes at Nuremberg in 1947. After 2 months of his acquittal, he was in Maryland consulting with the US military on germ warfare. You get acquitted for fucking spreading this plague, this disease on inmates. But don't worry, you know some shit? Come work for us. The US Army Chemical Corps hired him in 1951 to continue his work.
Of course.
So basically, there's one more I'm going to get to, but basically, if you are a scientist, you can become a war criminal and get away with it, from what it looks like.
Because you're a good scientist, apparently, because you're helping.
Because you know how to kill people.
Yeah.
Effectively. Then you got Walter Schreiber, and he was a Nazi major general who made funds available for doctors to experiment on concentration camp prisoners for inhumane experiments.
We'll get into that in a little bit.
So this dog resurfaces at the Air Force School of Medicine in Texas.
Okay.
And after his crimes were revealed in 1952 by a journalist, the US government, what did they do? Shit, they're onto you. Go back and join your daughter in Argentina.
Of course, Argentina, where Joseph Mengele, just around the corner, went for a swim or an escape or something, no one really knows, and drowned. Because
Joined Harold Holt, this bloke.
Just on this whole war criminal thing, there were a few Jews that were like, we need to do something about these people who were roaming the streets. These guys are war criminals. How can they be?
Imagine that, like you as a refugee,
Yeah.
like flee to America, right? Thinking you're safe. And what do? They bring in these Nazis that were fucking killing you. Like
Albert Einstein.
Yes, he was a big proponent against these...
Operation Paperclip.
Yes.
Yeah. Because he came in the right way, and then a year later, bring in all the 1,600 former Nazis or some shit like that, like some crazy number.
And they're gonna be his colleagues now.
Yeah. So a quick interesting thing before, like, you know, with this whole Operation Paperclip. Before that, there was this another operation, some German word, I forgot it. I'll put it in the show notes. There was another operation between the Soviets and the Germans, which was trying to obtain the ABC weaponry, and by that I mean
Just ask Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5.
That's it. Atomic. B for
Beautiful.
I don't know. C was chemical.
Yes.
Bionic? Is that no? Anyway, 3 different types of atomic something and chemical, right? And the B, I don't know. Fuck, I forgot it. Bionic. Is that a thing? A bionic chemical?
No.
Okay. You'll come to me anyway. And they were trying to get these things to use them as weaponry through. Some may call it medicine because at the end of the day, chemistry is the route to the medical industry. To use it as a way to hypnotize or corrupt or control or find influence people. So people might just think, all right, Operation Paperclip, all right, they brought a bunch of Nazis to America to shoot a rocket in the sky,
get some people on the moon.
That's it. And then next minute, Elton John comes in, Rocket Man, one of those ones.
Yeah.
So it was just a whole thing for Elton John, which is bullshit. It's there's more to it. Like, you know how you said that fucking Walter Schreiber guy, whatever his name was utilizing chemicals, because he was a chemist, to influence people, some may say. This is what...
Influence them with death.
Yeah. So this is what... And he was using them on the people, inmates, concentration camp.
Yeah.
It's like the coronavirus. Instead of animal trials, let's go straight to the human trials. Because if you think about it, we're still on a emergency use authorization till 2022. So we are the animals getting tested for that, but we'll leave that for another day.
What animal would you describe yourself as if you had to?
I'd go with a bull.
Bull?
Yeah.
Just a heavy set of testicles, is that what you're saying?
I was going to say, like, I'd like to occasionally ram my horns into some red dresses, if you are.
This bloke.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What about yourself?
Oh, probably like a grasshopper.
Why?
I got hairy legs.
Okay, we'll go with it. Okay, so MK Ultra, which I was trying to get at, using, some may say, LSD and other drugs to mind control people. And then what's another one underneath MK Ultra, which they use? Project Monarch, which is what they're using on, like, the celebrities and Britney
Not to be
Spears.
confused with that hit movie by Ashton Kutcher, The Butterfly Effect.
Hit movie? I think you're thinking of the 70s show.
Help.
Okay. Yeah, so they were already organizing this MK Ultra shit in Nazi Germany. So some may say Operation Paperclip was
an introduction for...
Yeah. Because, as you said, that Kurt Blom bloke, whatever his name is, he was the leader of the Nazi program to weaponize the bubonic plague. What does that mean? Is a bit of a hint?
Yes. So that was one area where the US realized they were lacking compared to Nazi Germany, was their chemical warfare.
And not only that, they not only use them for mind control in regards to what they're doing now with the whole... in the media, control the youth, blah, 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 all that shit. But they're actually at that period with, like, the beef going on with Russia, which apparently it's still going on, allegedly. They're using it to make sleeper agents. And by sleeper agents, it's not like sleeping on the job. The actual people that would, like, hypnotize them to, like, a music or, like, something to trigger them.
So they were completely unaware
to go and assassinate, like, someone. They'll have them in the crowd. We'll play something. It'd probably be like a
trigger, something to...
Beethoven or
Sweet Home Alabama.
Or Outside by George Michael. Like,
That would set me off.
Yeah. And then that's it. And then they go and assassinate the person.
And then when they're interrogated, they got no idea what's going on.
Exactly. And it's not like, oh, we've got footage of you doing that. It's like when I got into punch up at school one time, the teacher goes to me, I saw you do it, but then I sort of conned all the other kids in my grade, and the other grades, no, it was the other bloke that instigated it when she saw it was me. So that's a little bit of,
A bit of MK Ultra back in the school days.
One of those ones.
One of those ones.
Yeah.
So I'm going to jump to some crazy fucking theories I stumbled upon in relation to this Operation Paperclip. Cue in one Nicholas Tesla, and apparently his assassination. Okay, Apparently, Tesla was tricked by two former ex-Nazi SS commandos into revealing the full details of his most important discoveries. So as we know, as we may not know, Nicholas Tesla, brilliant mind, bit of a loose cannon, came up with some crazy designs, crazy theories, crazy inventions, which we can probably go into in a later episode. But yeah, apparently he was assassinated by two ex-Nazi SS commandos, whatever, and they stole his secrets, sent them back to Hitler, all these fucking schematics and designs, which were then later reclaimed by the US military after they won the war through Operation Paperclip. So you can look into that. I have a link there. And apparently a precursor to Operation Paperclip was Operation Overcast. What the fuck is Operation Overcast? Well, as you know, with these fucking operative names, there's some meaning behind the words, right? So Operation Overcast refers to, obviously, the sky, right? And there was a theory that the Germans were trying to use reflective mirrors or some sort of mirroring shit to put it up in space, rebound the sun's heat, and set the land on fire.
Just sort of what Bill Gates is...
We're trying to block the fucking sun, that bloke.
Yeah, it's like doing the reverse overcast.
So before it was Operation Paperclip, it was known as Operation Overcast. Apparently it was in like some Time magazine. They kind of addressed it briefly. And I'll have a link there to that shit. Many opposed the adoption of Nazis, as you were saying, and stated previously President Truman had forcibly forbade their recruitment. And then you had public figures like Eleanor Roosevelt. She was against it, Albert Einstein against it. So that prompted then Chief Staff General Eisenhower to conduct a briefing. Briefing lasted 20 minutes, decided to change his mind. All right, they're good to go. Come bring him in. Fill up the fucking bus. And he flipped the script and accepted him in.
Bus or plane?
Bus, plane, train, fucking rocket. So how was he so easily convinced? Some people say Russia. Some people say it wasn't Russia because America had the nuclear bomb. They had Europe allied with them as well. They didn't need this shit. So countries and citizens under Soviet control didn't want to be under Soviet control. They could have rolled into Russia and put an end to the Soviets. So some people are saying it wasn't Soviet Russia. Some people are saying aliens. I'm just going to jump into it, right?
Well, they did say they found flying discs.
Yes. So where did the number of these paperclip scientists go? You follow the dots, you find the drops, you got a grey skin sucking your cock. And by January 1946, 2 months after the Nuremberg trials had begun, there were more than 160 Nazis, many with their families, living and working in the United States.
Yeah.
A good number were housed at a facility called Hilltop in Dayton, Ohio. And many of them were complaining they were caged like animals. Well, you're a fucking criminal anyway. The US military scientists working amongst them were disgusted by their new colleagues and saying that they had no emotions and were basically animals, right?
Yeah.
So the ex-Nazis went to Dayton, Ohio, which also happens to be home to Project Blue Book, ground zero for government investigations of UFOs. That was back in the 50s to 60s, 70s.
What are you going to say next? The other half went to Roswell, New Mexico?
Well, Dayton, Ohio apparently ranks up there alongside Area 51 as a subject for enduring speculation. So...
One of those ones.
One of those ones. So where did the remains of the Roswell incident go?
One of those.
In July 1947, people believe they saw unidentified flying objects crash near Roswell, New Mexico. Within days, all items from that incident were confiscated by the military and chucked in a storage facility at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, which is
Dun-dun-dun-dun.
Dayton, Ohio.
One of those ones.
There we go.
So, in a nutshell, Operation Paperclip,
We're going to kill your leader, get all your fucking criminals, scientists, magnificent minds. You're ours now.
No, that's it. And then we're going to use you
Wipe your
to...
slate clean. You're not a criminal, you're a scientist.
And we're going to use you to challenge the Russians or the Soviets in their operations. But then again, we've got your chemical background and your atomic background and all that shit. So we're going to use you for experiments close in bed, nip and tuck with the CIA. But the CIA wants to offer these operations. Depends on the president to knock them back or not. But we'll get into that another day. One Nazi that wasn't so lucky was Eichmann, I think, who fled to Argentina or whatever. He wasn't involved in this Operation Paperclip. He was like high up, Third Reich motherfucker. But what happens? A little group of Nazi hunters were formed and they wanted to kidnap him. So one time when he's walking down the street, gets kidnapped by the Mossad, went to Israel, trolled, executed, went bam, see you later.
Fucking should have went in bed with the Americans.
Should have gone to Paperclip. Should have went with Clippy on Microsoft Word. Anyway, unlucky.
Unlucky.
But yeah, so that's pretty much Operation Paperclip, and they're still roaming the streets today. Like we said, generations working in NASA today, still using that wisdom to
send another fucking piece of metal into space.
Yeah. Interesting. Quick little shout out before we go.
Yes.
To one Altian Childs.
Why would you bring him up? He might, those of you who don't know, X Factor Australia winner.
Yep. He
went on a 5-hour rant.
Yeah, he sent a video the other day exposing these Freemasons. And we sent him an email to reach out to him.
Trying to lure him in on the podcast.
Unfortunately, he turned it down. He
gracefully, I might
gracefully,
gracefully turned it down.
He was set his mind on helping people follow the right path. But it's imagine that, a 5-hour rant about the Freemasons being the head and shoulders, knees and toes,
one man torso,
connecting everyone around the world in this fudgery that we call life. And that's why they called life, that board game, the game of life, because it is a game to these globalists.
Yes.
We're just the fucking animal trials, like not as heavily involved like the Nazis in the Jews in the concentration camps. But you never know, we might get there.
Let's hope not.
Okay. And
with that,
as they say in Argentina. Wait, sorry, before we say this, ghostnutspodcast.com.
Yeah, check us Instagram, Facebook, Twitter,
all that
YouTube.
Stuff.
Subscribe, comment, like.
One of those ones. No fucking promoting Bitcoin on our pages, please. Like,
Yeah, can we slow down with that?
Yeah. And
subscribe to us on iTunes, 5 stars, please.
Yeah. And as I say in Argentina,
Yo quiero Taco Bell.
Yeah, Ghostnuts, motherfucker.
Ghostnuts. Podcast, boys.
Are they discussing this on the Ghostnuts podcast? Are you? You guys need to break this fucking down.
Get to the chopper! Kill your fucking selves, you fucking globalists!
We can't see them, they can't see us.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
God, I love those Ghostnuts.